Hi, Angela Grant. Welcome to JUANEUKONEK. It's good to see you. Tell us about your modeling career in Manila.
In Manila, right.
Yes. How did it all happen?
Well, I went over to the Philippines in the late 90s, and I thought I'd have a go at modeling. My cousin was modeling there. My cousin was also a booker. So I went on to a few castings, and I landed 2 campaigns. One of them was Ivory soap, and then after that was Luxe shampoo.
Yes.
And I did a lot of guest appearances as well for the campaign. I think I was on Easy Dancing a couple of times. I danced on that show. I think I was on Eat Bulagat, but I definitely was on quite a few TV shows to promote the campaign.
Your whole modeling stint in Manila, how long did it last? And what was your takeaway from that experience?
It lasted for a good few years, but in between, I was also teaching and I was still dancing. From that whole experience, I gained a lot of confidence, to be honest, being in front of the camera, because I'd always been performing on stage.
How about your learnings about your roots? Because you're half Filipina, your mother is Filipina, and your father is British.
I was very fortunate that my mother, because she came over from the Philippines in the 70s, I basically lived in a very Filipino household in the UK. She taught us a lot about the Philippines and the culture from a very young age. So when I went over to the Philippines, it wasn't so much of a culture shock. Although I don't speak Tagalog, I can say a few words, I can understand a lot of it. So I would hear Tagalog as I was growing up. So when I went back to the Philippines, it wasn't so much of a shock or a surprise, the food or the way people behaved, the way the country was run. So it wasn't too much of a shock or a surprise for me.
How old were you when you started ballet? How young were you, and the kind of training that you got at an early age?
I started ballet when I was 7 in a small ballet school in Nottingham. That's where I grew up. And she was an old school, very strict ballet teacher. Then at the age of 14, I went to the prestigious Elmhurst Ballet School, which is one of the top, it's perhaps the second best ballet school to go away and professionally train as a dancer in the UK after the Royal Ballet. And I was there for 4 years, and it was intense. You had to wake up at 7 o'clock, you had hours of ballet classes, then you had to go to your school because you had to have education. And then I went off to a dance college in London, and then I became a freelance dancer, and I literally was dancing professionally in the UK and Europe before the Philippines.
And who influenced you to become a ballerina?
Well, I guess my first ballet teacher was a huge influence. This is the one in Nottingham when I was 7 years old. Then when I went away to train at a professional dance school, that's when I really thought, this is what I want to do. I was passionate about ballet and dance before then. But when you go to a school like that, it's either yes, I love it, or no, it's not what I want to do. Because it's so intense and it's grueling, you have to decide yes or no. So the school, the teachers at that school would have yes.
Angela, how long was your stay in the Philippines?
It was a good, maybe about 5 years.
5 years?
Yeah, and I was in and out there because I was coming back home to the UK because I wanted to see my family. There was also quite a tragedy that happened in the UK while I was away that I had to fly back to.
And then I understand that when you came back to the UK, you started your ballet school. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I had 2 girls, but when I had my second child, I decided to train as a teacher with the Royal Academy of Dance. Now that was a 2-year training program to get my certificate to teach ballet under the Royal Academy of Dance. After that 2-year intense training, and I passed it, I set up my ballet school in West London, and I started with a handful of students. I think I started with about 10 students, and within a year, I had a school, I had 120 students, and it's grown ever since then. So it's in its 12th year.
You must have encountered challenges along the way. Can you please tell us some of those, and how did you overcome them?
Well, the biggest challenge has been this last year.
Okay.
trying to keep my business going and the children dancing. I have had a few challenges. I've had studios close and trying to look for another studio locally, because I have to stick in my area. So my area where I teach is in West London, in Acton, Shepherd's Bush, and so that is my little hub. I can't, well, I could if I wanted to expand to another area, but that's my hub. So I've had times when, you know, there's been a fire in the studio and I've had to look for another place to teach my classes, and there aren't many studios because they're either taken up by other dance schools or they're full. That's been the main problems. But in general, it's okay. It's just that this last year's been the challenge.
Yeah. What have you learned during that 1 year when you were trying to, you know, navigate into your business, how to run your business during a lockdown?
I learned how to be a little bit more techie and technical. I learned how to Zoom. I've learned how to film myself dancing. I mean, teach myself. Sorry, as in on screen. I've taught myself how to film myself, edit, because what I've been doing is a lot of my students don't like doing live Zoom classes.
Okay.
So what I did was I set up a YouTube channel and I started to film myself and edit classes. This is what I was doing over lockdown. But I did set up my Zoom classes, and my living room turned into a ballet studio for 1 year. I lost over half of my students.
Okay. Yes.
So I teach from the ages of 2.5 to 80 years old.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So
wow.
Yes. So that's another thing. I've actually started to teach an older set of groups of ladies online this last year. So the pandemic has in a way increased my business. It's made it grow a bit more. That I'm now doing a combination of online studio and online and studio together.
Well done, you. Because you managed to squeeze in everything during the pandemic to learn, to teach, and all, you know, what have you in that.
Yes, exactly. And I was also doing courses. I did a COVID-19 mental health child training course, because I know that when I go back and teach, a lot of the children may have issues, and I'll have to recognize them.
Now, Angela, because this afternoon is all about royal, tell us about this royal connection.
Well, my great grandmother grew up and was the first cousin to the Queen Mother. That's Elizabeth. So they grew up in Glamis Castle in Scotland. I'm actually Scottish, so I've got a Scottish side. So Teenie Ernestine was born and raised in Glamis Castle with the Queen Mother, and she left and married. She was actually married twice, but her second husband was a French Canadian baron, and that's where I get my name from, Baron de Longueuil. Now my father is the 12th Baron de Longueuil, and so they're related. We are related to the royal family, because the Queen Mother was my great grandmother's first cousin.
Okay. Yes.
So which makes the Queen my grandfather's second, and then my father the third, if I do it very slowly like that. Yes. So and also my father's title, Baron de Longueuil, is very unusual in the sense that it is the only title that the Queen has recognised in a French colonial country like Canada. And the monarch of Canada is the Queen. So, who is my father's second cousin once removed. So it's the only title recognised by her in Canada.
So do you have a title?
I will have a title, yes.
It will be passed to you by your father.
Yes, and I will be
a baroness.
I will be baroness. Yes, de Longueuil, yes.
Baroness de Longueuil.
What's quite interesting is I will be the first female baroness. There hasn't been. They've all been barons. So from the beginning, they've all been barons. So I will be the first baroness. Yes.
Oh my goodness!
Yes.
We have to wait for that to happen. That's history. Yes. That's amazing, Angela. So you had a privileged upbringing, but yes. I've seen you work so hard.
Yes.
Where did you get that work ethic?
I think the work ethic, it all comes down to dance training, ballet training. There's nothing like training in a ballet class or training to be a dancer, because you have to train every day. Mm-hmm. You have to be perfect, you have to get stronger, and you have to keep practicing. Mm-hmm. And I think once you have that, it will take you anywhere in life, even if it's to get dressed up for a party or to go for an interview. You will want to be your best, you will want to rehearse.
So your mother must have done well in choosing that school for you and your siblings.
Yes, exactly. Yes, exactly. Yep.
Some people are questioning the relevance of the royal family in this time and age. For you, Angela, do you still see the relevance of the royal family?
I think absolutely that the royal family is relevant. I think a lot of young people would say they're out of date. Some older people would say that too. But the royal family and the Queen, they do carry out a lot of important roles and work for the public and charitable services. And I think that's so important. And I think it strengthens nationally unity and stability in the UK. And I think without them, there'll be a massive hole.
Yeah.
So I really do think, yes, they're relevant. And I did watch the funeral, and I must say that I was quite emotional, and I thought it was beautifully executed. It was calm, it was dignified, and in royal way, it was flawless. I was quite moved by it.
I was also moved by it. I totally agree with you.
Yes.
You know, I love the solemnity of the occasion.
Yes.
Yeah. We don't want to miss the opportunity to get the advice from you. For those who would like to follow in your footsteps, those who would like to have a career in ballet, who want to become a ballerina, and maybe in the future establish their own business, have their own school.
Yes. I'd say to be really passionate about what you want to do, and to follow that passion every day, practically, of your life, even on a Sunday or a Saturday, and to do it properly. And I always say, don't do it by halves. I remember mentioning that in the documentary I did with you, Rose. But to do things properly, 100%, to follow your dream, to be passionate about it. And this is another thing that I also think is I don't do things for money all the time, because it comes from here. And I always think if you do things from here, then it will come to you. That success will come to you.
Oh, that's so sweet. Yes, I think you said that at some point when we were conversing about what keeps you going on a day-to-day basis, because your job is very physical.
Oh yes,
It's
yes.
so physical. Well, Angela, thank you for your
Oh,
time.
oh, it's so lovely.
I really appreciate this. So those who would like to enroll in your
Yes.
classes, how can they get in touch with you? Where
Ah,
would they click, or which
well,
website would they need to
okay.
visit?
I do a Silver Swans class, which was actually aired online by the Royal Academy of Dance. They chose my class to be on their
Mhm.
website and their YouTube channel. But I teach a class online every Tuesday for over 55s. They can contact me on, well, my website is angelagrantdance.co.uk. That's www.angelagrantdance.co.uk. And I teach online classes for over 55s on a Tuesday, 11 a.m. GMT time. I also teach after school on a Saturday, after school in the week and on a Saturday, for children and adults and teenagers, but that's in a studio. So if anyone would like to get in touch with me for classes online or in the studio, my web address is www.angelagrantdance.co.uk.
Thank you so much, Angela Grant, for this opportunity. Maraming salamat po.